concerned should follow the standing orders and the guidelines. The acting positions have a limit. The maximum limit is 6 months where somebody can act. So the vote holders must immediately take action, either declare those vacancies open for recruitment or simply go ahead and go through the process and confirm those who have been put there as acting, as long as they have the requisite qualifications. Otherwise, nobody should act longer than 6 months. It's not necessary. Now, the vacancies for recruitment obviously must be advertised. It has been noted that despite the clearance issued to responsible officers to commence the declaration of the vacancies to the respective appointing authorities 1 month down the road, some, unfortunately, have not declared these vacancies for some reason or other. Now, to date, some appointing authorities have also, to date, not initiated the recruitment process. Vacancies not declared, clearance has been granted, then the commencement for recruitment has not started, and one is at a loss. Yet the personnel are there, they are ready to work, and the wage is available. So I would like to advise all the parties concerned against delaying the recruitment process. Please speed up and don't delay the recruitment process. Appointing authorities are advised to use the recruitment process that will allow for participation of all eligible persons. The same applies to internal adverts, mainly for promotional jobs. Now, the technical officers aiding the recruitment process. Appropriate technical officers must be used during the recruitment exercise. The technical officer must be higher in rank than the position that is being filled, and where such a technical officer is not available at the district, a written request should be made to the respective ministry or other government institution to assign an appropriate technical officer. It is not appropriate to get a junior technical officer to recruit a senior technical officer. It won't work, you see. So the recruitment person, the technical officer, must be higher. Must be higher. You cannot get a sergeant to go and recruit a colonel. That can't work. You know, can't work. You must get somebody higher, a major general, to recruit a colonel. Now, contacting and or interfacing with candidates. The appointing authority must, as much as possible, adopt recruitment procedures that promote meritocracy and transparency, which is free of corruption. Contacts with candidates should, as much as possible, be minimized, and where possible, all recruiting entities should use official telephone lines for calling candidates. Things like ondabiranga ddala, ntunulamu mumunye, things like that. Those are not allowed. Be official and minimize contact with candidates. Now, notification of candidates. The appointing authority should issue written notification letters to all the successful candidates to avoid unnecessary delay in issuing appointment letters by the responsible officer. Now, the wage performance analysis. Before issuing an appointment letter by the responsible officer, that officer should ensure that wage performance analysis has been carried out to ensure that there is sufficient wage to onboard the recruited employee, and access them on the payroll or out of the payroll. You see, there should be a clear wage available that as soon as the employee has been recruited can access that payroll and get the money. There should be no delay. Somebody delaying for 3-4 months before is paid is not good enough. And we would not want in the middle of the year somebody to come up and say there's a wage shortfall. No. So the wage performance analysis must be carried out. Now, the issuing of appointment letters, let me remind the responsible officers, they must comply with the format of the appointment letters provided in the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2021. Specifically, the appointment letter should not contain the salary scale band. It should be very clear. You don't say medical or science or upper lower, vague nomenclatures like those are not allowed. Be specific and be clear about the scale to avoid future complications and queries and what have you, and confusion. So if you say medical now, which medical now? Medical is a wide band. It's a wide band. Which one? So you should indicate as a responsible officer that this is U1ES or something like that. Now, submission of returns and access on the payroll. Responsible officers must first submit a return to the ministry indicating details of the positions filled and the wage implications, accompanied by a wage performance report before the recruited persons are accessed out of the payroll. These will then be cleared for access onto the payroll where any recruitment on replacement basis has been undertaken. The list of all retired employees should be attached, indicating dates of retirement and the details of the new employee. So really, preliminary work must be done quickly, and all these returns must be made that when you are recruiting or filling in this vacancy, there is no doubt and there is no panic, and you don't make mistakes at all. Yes, and people don't have to wait to access their wage. Now, recruitment on replacement basis. The ministry guided the service that recruitment on replacement does not require any clearance from the ministry, provided it does not create an additional wage obligation. Somebody is going to retire in the next 6 months. You don't have to wait to seek clearance from the Ministry of Public Service. As long as there's a wage, as long as, the vacancy is there and somebody is not going to stay there anyway because retirement is mandatory, go ahead and recruit, initiate the process and recruit, such that when that person goes, let's say today on the 11th of November, immediately somebody takes over. There is continuity of work. You don't have to wait and declare 3 months or 4 months after. Responsible officers were also advised to initiate recruitment on replacement basis 6 months before the due date of the retiring employee. This is aimed at ensuring a smooth transition, business continuity, and minimizing unspent wage which is returned to the consolidated fund. You see, somebody is retiring, you don't care, and then you start panicking, or you say at the end of the year there is no time to recruit and so on. That is a lame excuse. You see, even when an employee dies suddenly in an accident, immediately should start the process of recruitment. Not so? Yes. immediately. It's like when we say the king is dead, immediately we say, long live the king. Not so? Yes. So that's what it should be. Somebody has died in an accident, immediately, don't wait. Start the recruitment exercise. So that at any one moment, there is service delivery, there is continuity, and there is no vacuum. Now, it is now our policy to make sure that there is mandatory orientation and mandatory induction of all recruited employees. The Ministry of Public Service, through the Civil Service College of Uganda, developed mandatory training courses for public officers from entry level to strategic national leadership level to enhance their service delivery capacities so that institutional inefficiencies are curbed, conformity to government policies is strengthened, and mindset change and the services delivered are standardized. So this is mandatory now, you know. So compulsory training is a critical component of the continuous professional development path for public officers and a mandatory requirement for progression from one level to another. You know, in a bid to operationalize the first level of mandatory training, that's the induction training, the Ministry of Public Service has secured funding to undertake induction training for all newly recruited public officers effective financial year 2025-2026. Training is mandatory and continuous. Induction is mandatory. Yes. Now, responsible officers are therefore reminded to submit a schedule of all staff that have been recruited and ensure that they are in order to schedule their induction before deployment. Orientation of these officers should follow at their workstations. So let them be inducted, then they are oriented, and then they work. They work. And even when they're at work, then further training can go on at strategic level, the highest level. We don't lose out on professionalism. We don't lose out. We are not left lagging behind. And that at any one moment, we have public servants who are up to date with the current service delivery norms. Now, I wish to send this message to job applicants. Candidates willing to advance their career in the public service are encouraged to apply for positions they qualify, taking into account the conditions provided in the job adverts. So you apply depending on your qualifications. Now, there are relevant appointing authorities which must be consulted. These are the Public Service Commission, the Health Service Commission, the Education Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission, the Parliamentary Commission for Staff of Parliament, the Police Authority, holders of certain positions, the Prisons Authority, and for holders of certain positions, the appointment boards for each public university, District Service Commission for each district, City Service Commission for each city, boards or commissions of each government agency, boards and commissions, the Uganda People Defence Forces, and the security organizations. These are the bodies which recruit and interview and eventually deploy the public servants in our service. One thing to remember is that recruitment and employment in government is free of charge. There is nothing like kitu kidogo. No. There is nothing like, facilitation fee for you to get the application form. that is out. There is nothing that, yes, like ondabiranga ddala, look at me in the eye, that is out. It is free. And I would advise the applicants to desist from being tempted to offer inducement, either in cash or in material or otherwise, to the recruitment people. And all these other fellows who, the Baganda have a word, they call it balebesi, kayungirizi, brokers, that I know this office, please bring 2 million here, I'll talk this one and that one. They just take your money for nothing and you don't get anything, and you get, in the end, disappointed. But you don't get disappointed with that kayungirizi, you get disappointed with government. Somebody has taken your money. So cases of soliciting for bribes, extortion, lobbying, extra should be reported immediately to the anti-corruption and oversight bodies such as the Criminal Investigation Directorate, the Inspectorate of Government, State House Anti-Corruption Unit, among others. You can even come to the Ministry of Public Service and report to any officer there. And the candidates that are able to are encouraged to record all communications they receive relating to the job applications. Now that AI and technology is available, please carry out all this recording and report appropriately. Now, we have included information in this press briefing, the details about the vacancies cleared for recruitment by ministry, department, agents and local government. We have also included, and there are many, these I think we shall give you the record of this that you can report it appropriately, but there are many. What does this show? This shows that we are set and we are determined to recruit. We are determined as government to provide jobs to the appropriate personnel, and that we are on course because we want to ensure that our service is filled up to 100%, again in phases according to the availability of the wage. Once the service is filled 100%, then the service delivery is going to be 100%. And some of all these other gaps will now be taken care of. So, the future of this country in terms of service delivery, in terms of providing jobs for the Ugandans who are qualified is very bright. It's very bright. Thank you for listening to me, for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. It's a wonderful update and opportunity for Ugandans to apply for jobs. At this moment,
thank you, my colleague Seruga. We have Serumaga. I may invite the PS to give us the Luganda version for our other broadcasts. So you prefer to have questions first? I request we have the Luganda version, then we have the questions, please.
We should come back and do again the Uganda questions.
Olwaleero ekitongole ekiwandiika abakozi bonna aba gavumenti kiri wano okutegeeza Abannayuganda nti tusumuludde era tuwadde omukisa ebitongole byonna ebya gavumenti eya wakati ne local government n'ebirala okuwandiisa abakozi mu mwaka guno ogw'embalira 2025 2026. Bwe twatandika omwaka guno ekitongole ekya Ministry ewandisa abakozi, Ministry ya Public Service, yayisa ekiwandiiko nga twogera ku mbeera y'abakozi abali mu gavumenti, nga twogera ku namba zaabwe, benkana ki, abawumudde bameka, betuwandisizza bameka, nga tutegeeza ensi yaffe engeri gye tukozesaamu bano abakozi, era twakwatako ne ku kintu ekyokuwandisa abakozi. Kino kiviira ku obuyinza etteeka lye bayita Public Service Act lyetuwa n'ebiwandiiko ebigenderako lye tuyita Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2021. Nga tusinziira ku gano amateeka, omwaka guno bino byetuyisizza. Ku ntandika y'omwaka twawalukisa ebitongole ebiri wansi w'obulamu, Ministry ey'obulamu, Ministry of Health, okuwandiisa abakozi abagenda okutwala obuwumbi 5 mu miliyoni 48 408 nga zino sente zigenda kukozesebwa abakozi abagenda okukola mu bitongole ebya Ministry of Health, Ministry y'obulamu, nga bino ebitongole ebya wansi bye bayita Health Center 2 ebitandikibwako Health Center 2 ne Health Center 3, nga tusinziira ku buyambi bwe twafuna mu World Bank, banka ey'ensi yonna, ne program gye bayita U-Gift. Ebitongole wansi wano byengenda okwogerako bye bigenda okufuna ku nsimbi zino eziwandiisa abakozi. Abantu baffe basobole okufuna obujjanjabi okuviira ddala mu ebyo ebitongole ebya wansi. Arocha Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Apache Municipal Council, Nsawo Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Kira Municipal Council, Kibiri Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Makindye Sabagabo Municipal Council, Nyagilia Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Koboko Municipal Council, Monjera Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Rubirizi District era nga kipya. Ebyo byonna byenjogedde nga bitongole bipya ebya Health Center 3. Ne tudda ku ebyo ebitongole ebikuzibwa nga bizze ku ddaala erya wagguluko kulwa engeri abantu gye bweyongeddemu obungi. Chondo Health Center 2 kisangibwa mu Bundibujjo District, Kabingo Health Center 2 nga kisangibwa mu Kasese District, Butungama Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Ntoroko District, Patongo Health Center 4 nga kisangibwa mu Agago District, Kira Health Center 4 nga kisangibwa mu Kira Municipality mu Wakiso District, Nyabirongo Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Kasese District, ne Wera Health Center 3 nga kisangibwa mu Amuria District. Ebyo byonna biwanikibwa bizze ku ddaala eddala. Ekyo kitegeeza nti services oba obujjanjabi ne bye basobola okukola byeyongedde. Ekiddako ebitongole ebiwera 130 nga mulimu ministries awakati, mulimu districts ne agencies endala, twayisizza ne tubakkiriza okukola okuwandiisa abakozi 683 nga bagenda kutwala obuwumbi obusukka mu 124 era lisiti yabo lisiti enkalakalira y'ebyo eri mu kiwandiiko kino. Mu kino tutadde essira okuwandiisa abakulira zi department mu local governments nga twagala okunyweza engeri gye ba supervisingamu n'okulaba ku program eza gavumenti nga ba DHO, District Health Officer, District Engineer, District Education Officer, okutwaliza awamu. Ekirala kye tukoze nti essira eddala tulitadde okwongeza ku bakozi abakola mu primary schools, amasomero agasookebwako ne primary health care nga bwe njogedde, ne ba agricultural extension workers, abo abawa amagezi abalimi mu ngeri ki gye basobola okukola emirimu gyabwe egy'okulima n'okulunda. Ne tugattako ne ba parish chiefs stroke town agents. Nga we mukimanyi gavumenti yadde etadde nnyo essira era ekuliriza parish development model. Kati bano ba parish chiefs stroke town agents be basookebwako wansi mu local governments ne n'awalala okutereeza ebiwandiiko n'okumanaginga parish sente za parish development model. Mulimu ebitongole ebimu ebitanaba kutuwa bye twabasaba mu kwetegeka okuwandiisa abakozi. Bino biri 29 era tubiwandiise muno, mulimu district n'amalwaliro agamu tujja bibakwasa. Tugenze okwetegereza nti ebitongole ebimu ne baba nga tubawadde olukusa okutandika okuwandiisa abakozi bagenda mpola nnyo mu kukikola, kuba kwebyo ebingi ennyo ebiwera 130 abamu ne kaakati tebanaba kuyisa biwandiiko mu mawulire ne ku mikutu emirala egyogera ku bakozi be beetaaga. Era wano tubakubiriza bakitandikeko mangu. Ne twogera ne ku ekyokulwisa oba okwogeza abasaba emirimu, ng'olumu ekigendererwa kusaba nguzi oba kubalemesa paka we batuuka ku point ey'okubuuza ki ekirala kye basobola okukola. So wano tukubiriza abantu baffe abasaba emirimu nti okukola mu gavumenti oba okusaba omulimu kya bwereere, tekuliko nsimbi zonna ezikwatibwa ezeetaagizibwa okusasula basobole okuwandiisa oba okuyingira mu bya interview. Ministry ya Public Service yeeyongera okujjukiza ebitongole byaffe, ebitongole bya gavumenti nti awali okuzzaawo omuntu ng'omulala awummudde oba agenza awala tekyetaagisa kusaba lukusa. Ebitongole byetaaga ne bizzaawo oyo omuntu ng'oli abuuza myezi 6 nga tanaba kufuluma mu kitongole. tuziize okuzza essente ez'emisaala kugizza mu treasury. Ekisembayo twogedde ku okutendeka abo abafunye emirimu betuwandisiza abapya kasita baba nga bafunye gino emirimu nga tebanaba kuweebwa we bagenda okukolera, tusabye ba accounting officers bonna ab'abantu ba officer abapya tusooke tubatendeke mu ngeri ki gavumenti gyekolamu n'okubamanyisa amateeka agagenda obatwala n'ebirala ebiringa ebyo. Awo enkomye mwebale kumpuliriza. Amanya gange Catherine Bitarakwate Musingwire, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service.
Okay, tuyanza mama. Yes, before even we call for questions, but there is a hand from Mr. Chitubi. Colleagues, name and media house, and then you pose your question.
Thank you, Honourable Minister and the PS.
I can switch because some questions the Minister may want to
Thank you again. I am Kitubi Martin from the New Vision. I have quite many questions. The first one, I've seen some of the district local governments that you've actually indicated to have, among the 29, to have wage, but they have not come for approvals for recruitment. Some of these districts are hard to reach, and they really struggle to attract the needed staff there. Even a DHO will be there for 1 year and probably resigns or abscond. A district such as Karenga in Karamoja in the corner. The same applies to Katakwi. I've seen it time and time again. So I want, what are you providing as a ministry of, or guidance as a Ministry of Public Service for such districts that are really struggling to recruit? How should they handle the recruitment? Then the other thing is on the Honourable Minister talked about replacement, recruitment by to replace those who have retired. Time and time again we've seen that some of the positions they're actually public officers that civil servants that even when they retire they still put in a request to be given contracts to stay longer, and yet Uganda is graduating thousands, tens of thousands of students every year. Kindly we request you speak to that on the recruitment of retirees for positions that could be filled by young and vibrant graduates. Then the other thing is a related question. Before HCM, the Human Capital Management System, which you deployed a few years ago, we would see civil servants amend their age when they are coming to retirement. So we want to, is it also possible now that someone, maybe you're approaching retirement and probably you remember when you were born a different age, are we still allowing amendment of age for civil servants? My last question is on the staffing. Seen some of these 29 again. We've seen Mulago, Arua, Hoima, Kabale hospitals, national referral and the regional referral hospitals. But recently you just approved a new structure which increased the staffing at these health facilities. So are they recruiting as per the old structure or as per the new structure? Yeah, that's what I had.
I think he has covered for all of us. Sorry? Katoi nechibuzo. Okay. Now it's Sembera, report. Council can report on. ebibuuzo bijja kuba bingi katukome ku bano nedda ssebo
kakati maama mu kugabayo emirimu nze mulangira Ddembe yona okuva mu alipoota bwe muba mugaba emirimu gyammwe waliwo incidents zetuwulira nti omuntu omulimu yagufuna dda naye mwe nga mulirwedde mu mawulire procedures bazigoberera abantu ne bateekayo empapula zaabwe naye ng'omuntu gwe bagenda okuwa omulimu at the end of the day amanyikiddwa lwa nsonga emu aba yasookayo dda n'agulirira abantu abo bagaba emirimu. Ensonga ya corruption eyo mu ministry, how are you tackling it wano we tulage wapya mu kuwandiisa emirimu wano emugenda? Kyekyo kibuuzo kyange.
nga walaba kale.
Yes, thank you very much. Dennis Katai, work with Big Media. These questions goes to the minister. One, I wanted to know why some workers are given short contracts. This is so common in Parliament of Uganda. Two, still you've announced the recruitment exercise. When should we expect these workers to begin work? That is, if the exercise is done. Then also, lastly, you had the unleash of the pensioners. Two years ago, you had the ghost pensioners, and you decided as public service to hold the exercise paying the ex-government workers. And men are suffering because they were depending on the pension. I wanted you to update me about that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We shall leave Mukuluzi Mwanguyiza because of what democracy. So let us have Honorable Minister to respond to. We have him? Okay. Mukuluzi Mwanguyiza, you've been served by Madam PS.
Ekibuuzo kyange neyanza bamanze Bukenya George Zimwanguyiza era naye njagenda ku kya mukulu Ddembe nti nze nakiwitnessingako nyina baganda bange basomesa bampita ziyenkola amawulire ne bagamba bajja okola amawulire ate ne bamala ne beekuba we baali bali recruiting abasomesa ebiseera ebyo wa myaka ebiri emabega nga ne foomu ziri mu internet cafe bazijuliza ne banga naye tuleke ka tufune emirimu ne mbalekera emirimu bagifuna naye nga babajjako obukadde bubiri okuyingira ku payroll. Ensonga ya education ensonga ya corruption mugenda gikolera ki? Oga emirimu tegitundibwa naye byaddala emirimu gikola ki? Mama gitundibwa gwe tokimanyi naye bakomishona abammwe be batunda emirimu bakonayivinga n'abakozi abalala baddako awawansi ne bakuŋŋanya akasente ne babatwalira bakuŋŋanya akasente ne batwalira waliwo komishona mu education gwe batwaliranga akasente emirimu abatayina ssente abasomesa tebayingira ku payroll abayina akasente bebayingira. Ensonga ya corruption ye mugenda gikolera ki? Eyanza
Mukulu Mwanguyiza tukwetonderera olwekyo Madam PS ne Minister bagenda kuddamu.
Now, thank you very much indeed. Some of the questions which are technical will be handled by the Permanent Secretary or the relevant technical officers. Now, the gentleman from a reporter raised a very important issue that the recruitment exercise is just an exercise of showing. It's a show exercise. Otherwise, recruitment is done through other channels, and somebody knows it's been recruited. So the exercise is just a mere formality. This is a very big aspect of corruption, and that's not the method of recruiting our public servants. There is a window which is open to all people. In case such thing happens, of course, they raise the issue immediately to the chairperson of the Recruiting Commission, and of course the Ministry of Public Service, and oftentimes the exercise, if there is ample evidence that recruitment has not followed the right procedure, the recruitment exercise is repeated. So all we need is for people to be bold enough and come up and say, look, we went for the interviews, we did, but they were a mere formality. Somebody had already been recruited. Most likely that person didn't appear before the interviewing panel, and the exercise, therefore, the interview is nullified and it's done again, that the competent people, the most relevant people are recruited. Now, contracts, I think the question of providing contracts to retiring public servants has progressively reduced. The incidence has reduced. Once you clock 60 years, it's mandatory. You must go. And all systems, by the way, have been put in place to ensure that you go. One is that you not access any payroll as soon as you have hit 60. And then what you want to get from government is now the pension requirement. So maybe you'll go to the pension side and get what you want. However, there are exceptional circumstances where contracts are awarded. One, when that job requires certain special skills which are required but are not yet available in the body of civil servants that are remaining, then a contract is awarded to that person so that the 2 or 3 years that that person is still there are used by that person to induct and mentor the people who are going to come after. But such circumstances, fortunately now, are very rare, in that Uganda has advanced very far in terms of preparing the manpower that is required and providing the various skills which we want in the job market. So such instances are reducing day by day. When do recruits begin working? Yes, as soon as an appointment letter has been made and deployment has been granted, and then the training and induction has been done, the recruit starts working immediately. So you are given an appointment letter, which is a deployment letter. Then when you get there, you get inducted, you get training, and then you work. Now, pensioners, yes, we carried out a pensioner census. The exercise was done several years ago. However, it was not conclusive. We required the various votes to continue to look for those eligible pensioners and bring information about them. And this has been going on. There were some dubious cases which required investigation, and this has been done as well as going on. So, therefore, those cases which were not clear, the only logical thing to do was to strike those cases off the payroll, such that if that pensioner is there, that pensioner will be forced to come up. And we made it clear, may not come to the Ministry of Public Service, but go to the other vote where he's supposed to get the pension from, nearest to him or her. Will come up in body. Like in court they say, bring the body, habeas corpus, with the relevant documents, and say, I am pensioner Muruli Mukasa, senior citizen. These are my documents and so on. My name has been struck off from the pension roll. I'm around. And then that person will be validated, and obviously the name will be restored on the pension roll. If that pensioner is a ghost, then obviously the ghost will not appear. it will not appear, and that will be the end of it. So we would like to request people who are there, the pensioners, who have not appeared for validation, let them go to their vote where they retired from or where they have been paid pension from, and appear themselves, and they are validated, they are verified, then their money will be restored. Otherwise, if they keep there and start complaining and say we are suffering and so on and so forth, it will not help. It won't help. Remember, by this exercise, we actually saved government a lot of money, which was going out to ghosts and other ineligible people. There were cases where the actual beneficiary died, and then the heir of that person comes up and says, okay, I'm the heir of this officer, therefore I'm entitled to his pension. So, the question of corruption in job deployments, yes, this has come up many instances, and we are taking steps. Public service was assigned by cabinet to find appropriate means of curbing corruption in the recruitment exercise, including even the deployment exercise. And I think we have carried out enough survey, and we are soon to present a paper in cabinet proposing how best we can reduce this menace. And one way is actually to rely on technology and minimize contact. And I think over the years we have been using that, and it has helped to cut down the level of corruption. This contact is one easy way of encouraging corruption. We are also now going to rely on more further really on technology. Even in the interviews, I think you recall these days what happens. The shortlisting now is done through the machines available, and then the tests, the competence tests, are now administered through machines, and whoever passes gets the pass mark, transits to the oral stage, and the oral stage is also properly managed now. So corruption through these measures has actually been cut down. We are also proposing, obviously, to use machines in terms of deployment. Yes, if you have applied for the post of a teacher somewhere, then you do not have to go to the Teaching Service Commission, to get your deployment letter. Later on, when you are prepared, you'll get your letter from your computer or whatever, deploying it to any school. Not necessarily the school you apply to, but where the particular person of that skill set is required. That, in a way, will completely eliminate this physical contact. You want to be a teacher of history, for instance, in Baskerville's in Ngogwe Secondary School. You've done your interview here at the Public Service Commission. You've passed very well. Then why should you come here for a deployment letter? The letter is done electronically. You receive it, download it, and go and report to the school. So all these measures are really going to be employed to ensure that the corruption in the handling of jobs, the processing and deployment is reduced to a minimum. The other thing is that we have to change our mindset. We know deployment, getting a government job is free. It is free. And if you are asked for a bribe, report immediately. And we can deal with these officers who take such bribes. I can see somebody smiling, but it works. Report. And we are not short of officers, nor are we short of nor are we short of honest, upright people. Such officers are not indispensable. They can be removed. Since you are corrupt, go. We get some others. Uganda still now has a surplus of such honest people. And then once that happens 2-3 times to some people, then they will be careful next time not to solicit for bribes from the people they are supposed to serve. So, but we are also now benchmarking in the region and in other areas of the world where this vice has been completely restricted. For instance, in Egypt, there is no such a thing as corruption or soliciting for a bribe. Palestine and other countries as well. It's been reduced completely to a minimum, more or less almost non-existent. And I think, and they went through a similar experience that we are having now. And I think if we persist and we are resolved, we shall definitely eliminate this vice. Now, the other issues I think I'll leave to the permanent secretary. People amending their ages that he had forgotten and so on. That's what the permanent secretary will answer. Then guidance to those districts which have not declared their vacant positions, and then the one on contracts I've talked about, and then the recruitment in the regional referral hospitals. Is it according to the old or new structure? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was one question about the hard to reach. First, we call it hard to reach, hard to stay areas. We do have a hard to reach allowance, which is covering most of those difficult areas. However, there is also other affirmative action that we are taking. Number one, some are hard to reach areas. Others have been defined and designated as hard to stay spots, because they can even be in an urban area, but when the conditions around are quite difficult. One of the things that government has done regarding the hard to reach, hard to stay is promotion of urbanization. That is why you see there are more cities and more municipalities that have come on board. The other is locally encouraging the private sector to bring services closer. But as a ministry, we do have that allowance, and we have also allowed them to headhunt. Where you can headhunt some of these people to stay in these hard places, it is allowed with proper justification. Then regarding the age amendment, right now with human capital management system, it is not possible to amend your age. There has to be very good reason, and the standing orders provide that the original age that you declared in your first and the first form that you filled for entry into the service is the one that is used. And the courts of law have upheld that. We now have a precedence of those who have tried to amend, and the court has overruled them. Now, the structures in the health centers that are, or health sector that are being used, and hospitals being used to recruit, are the current structures. Filling those structures is being done in a phased manner, because where there is super specialization, We do not have very many human resources of that nature in the country, and it is being done in a phased manner. And just to back up the position that the Honourable Minister has mentioned, for instances where we do not have expertise in the health sector, for example, if it is a cardiologist, a neurosurgeon, those specializations which take a very long period of time to train, we do actually give some contract appointments. And this is provided for in the public service standing orders. The peculiar situations and circumstances in which a retiree can be given a contract appointment. Regarding allegations of having had jobs previously and even been working in the institution, this was asked by Mulangira. I want to give you the circumstances under which this is permissible. The public service standing orders provide for upgrading within an institution. So if someone was an office attendant and while they were there, they added on and got either a diploma or a degree, and a vacancy arises, they are free to apply for that vacancy, and they are appointed on attainment of higher qualification. Those are some of the circumstances which that may happen. Outside of that, it is not legal. Then the last one, it is unfortunate that some teachers were being recruited for a fee of 2 million. This should be, with evidence, should be reported, and administrative action and legal action taken against these culprits. From Dennis Kato, Peg Media, when are these new recruits meant to begin work? They are meant to begin work within this financial year, 25-26. For those institutions that were ahead of the clearance and already had their adverts up, it should be by January they should be taking up their posts. I thank you for listening to me.
There's one Uganda reporter who asked about why Parliament issues short-term contracts.
Parliament. Regarding the short-term contracts, it depends on the assignment at hand. If it is also for a short-term work, then it should be a short-term contract. I may not refer to Parliament, but there's one obvious one where there was updating of NIRA, the identification, national identification. You know that there were short-term contracts. The other one was for the population census. There were also short-term contracts. So it depends on those other peculiar assignments which are not full-time, and officers are needed for short-term. I thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, the Permanent Secretary, plus the team, for this wonderful update. We have come to the end of our press conference. May God bless you. Thank you. Yes, colleagues, there are some refreshments in the big boardroom, courtesy of Minister of Public Service. Kale, mwebale nnyo mwebali eddala. Mukuluzi gwa zimwanguyiza. Etuyanza sebo.